Hey guys, welcome back to Build It Yourself. Here we got our 2017 Lincoln Continental, and in this video we're going to be putting a new front end on this thing. But first, we got something serious to talk about. Last video, we showed the render. And everyone hated it. Well, not exactly. We got a mixed bag. Some people really liked it, liked the body kit. A lot of people were in favor of the slammed look, which we get, and a lot of people also were not in favor of the bags and the wheel choices we did. So we just want to take a quick second and address it. We know that that look is not for everyone, and we don't expect to be driving it like that, or even, we don't even know it'll go that low. It was just something we wanted to put into the render to make it flashy, but when we get it on there, we're going to see how everything looks, dial in the fitment, what we like. Maybe we like it low, maybe we like it high, but we're going to have air suspension so we could go up and down. It's not going to be a static low car, it's not going to be a static high car. We'll see where we like it. When we're driving it down the road, obviously it's going to be at a normal ride height most likely, maybe a touch lower, inch and a half, but we'll see when we get there. And then the wheels, obviously they're easy to change. 5 bolts, change them out, we could change the look. We wanted to do like a drag setup when we go drag racing, so that was a plan to do a wheel setup like that, but that was what we were thinking of to make it look, you know, like Lincoln-esque. So, you know, all this stuff is easy to change, so that we're glad to hear that those things are the things you guys nitpick the most. They're easy things to change. The body kit looks sick. The Abimelic did a great job with that, and those are coming out good. And now we're going to be working on the front end and getting that to hopefully look as sick as the render. So here's what we got going on. Last time we ended off, we said we cut it up into multiple pieces, and you can see here the blues and the silvers are all mixed together. This is the original wrecked up one that we cut up. So we got some of the parts off of that to put in here, and what we've actually done now, you can see, is lower this bottom by basically this amount. So about 2 inches lower to this bottom skirt, and it really brings this much closer to the ground. It actually lines up closer with the side skirts, the height off the ground. So we like that. And another thing is when moving it down this angle, it actually widened the bumper, and you can see how this surface is the new surface, this one's the old one. So we're going to have some work to do to bring this out and integrate it back into the body, and then we have work to do with all these pockets to make them larger. So we got, you know, a couple sets of parts here to cut up and put together. Same thing on the center, a couple sets to cut up and put together. We're also, so this is where we're getting a little adventurous, which may be a bad thing, just like the wheels. So coming on to this side, so this is like the brow that originally made up this hole that we cut out. So we're going to be trying to do, because this is wider, we're going to try to pull this out and make some kind of like aggressive, like a nostril. Yeah, nostril here to, you know, accentuate this duct area. And I think it'll look cool if we can nail it. It'll be sick. It'll definitely put some more presence on this. When you stand back now, you can see how much wider the bottom is, and I think that really is going to impact the front look and give it more, you know, more of a muscle car, more of a muscular look. So that'll be cool. So for now, we got to get these integrated in. We've already kind of glued everything in where it needs to be, these pieces, that centerpiece. Now we have these brows to work on those side pockets, and then we'll get to, yeah, foaming and fiberglass. We got some to figure out, so let's get to it.
We started off by cutting out a section of the bumper to be able to recess the piece from the old bumper into the new bumper. Using one of the trim pieces as reference, we were able to place the start of the nostril in the right spot on the bumper, holding everything together using this new tool we got to play with. And to our surprise, it worked pretty well.
I think we're now at a spot where everything is stiff, all put together. So it was very simple, really. All we did was use a combination of this plastic weld gun. We got this off of Amazon, and we used a bunch of these little tabs that you can kind of see here. They melt into the plastic and then join both pieces together. So we have a bunch of those on the side. We have a bunch of those here. We used a bunch there in the middle too. And then to reinforce the back of the seams, we use this mesh. So this is just wire mesh. We have a bunch here, and mostly on the back side, so you can't really see it, but we just cut strips from this and then just melt it into the plastic. So that adds a lot of strength. These tabs are good. to keep it together, but you really want to use this mesh to hold it and give it strength. So we have mesh all behind all these seams here on the side. Jack mentioned how the lower section ended up being slightly wider because of the way we lowered the bumper. So we ended up using a corner piece from the old bumper, stitched it up to this new lower piece at the right height, and then we kind of just bent this bumper out until it aligned, and it actually came out pretty well. We were worried we'd get some kind of weird wrinkles or something, but actually you can't even tell. I mean, this looks really good. So now we're starting to get to the point where, you know, we talked about we wanted to add some kind of nostril thing. So we've prototyped a little bit of a nostril on this side, or half of it, because we run out of clay, but this is the idea. So we want to follow this original sort of body line. Now we're going to start from this side, extend it out. We're going to add this little section here, and we're still thinking about how we want to blend it back into the bumper. But yeah, so that's kind of the idea. So you can see from the top, it looks a lot more aggressive. I guess this is very popular on new cars, which we didn't really know.
Design type of.
Yeah, a lot of cars have this kind of nostril style, and we didn't even know really that before we started this, but we just think it looks really good. It gives it a more aggressive look on the bumper. So the plan now is to use good old expanding foam. So we got 2 cans of this, and we're just gonna go to town really. This is now, I think we're happy with the shape. We may have to, you know, change a couple of things once we have the foam in there, but we're gonna spray the foam all in this area, let it cure a little bit, and then sand everything away, and we'll use fiberglass to actually give it strength, and then just a bunch of Bondo to get it to look right.
Before spraying the foam, we cut out the ends of the tabs sticking out and also sanded down the bumper to ensure the spray foam could adhere properly. We also taped shut some of those open areas to avoid the foam from expanding inward. Then, we just made pass after pass, ensuring we got enough foam in all the areas we needed. Probably a bit too much foam. Ignore that. Yeah, much better.
All right, well, the foam is fully hardened, rock solid, so we're ready to start cutting it and get into shape. That one, I don't know what kind of shape that is. It's got some tumor coming out from the side, but this is more the shape we were kind of looking for. So that just means we have to shave off more material. It's not a big deal. Now it's time to take our knives out and start sanding, cutting until we get a shape we're happy with.
Cutting the foam and seeing it take shape was actually kind of fun. That is, of course, until the tumor on the driver's side of the bumper decided it was time to pop.
Well guys, might have ran into a slight problem with this tumor here. I was cutting off, starting to shape here, and found this hole with a bunch of foam that just hasn't cured. It started puking out. It just kind of exploded. So I'm not sure if that's gonna cure, if that's gonna harden, but this side might be complete trash now. So
Slow and steady wins the race.
yeah, I think we just poured way too much, too fast. So I might just have to cut this whole area out, just spray another coat of foam and just let it sit while maybe I'll work with Jack on this side. Ready for paint, huh?
She's already painted,
She's
dude.
already painted, ready for SEMA.
I need to add a little here, but this
Starting
is
to take shape.
yeah, pretty much the shape we're going for. Once we put glass on it, it'll be easier to, you know, get the lines to be sharper. But I gotta add some more material here. It comes back into the bumper, so into this surface, and then we're growing that out, right? And then adding this chamfer here to bring out this lip.
I had to add a little bit of extra foam here because I went a little too low. But we ended up not having to cut this out. We just kind of let it cure And
over time.
that worked out, so that's good. But I'm gonna let that set a little bit before I start sanding it, but that's kind of the idea. So just like Jack said, feather it back into the side of the car. It's starting to take shape though. From the front, you can really see now.
A few moments later.
Just when we were ready to start sanding the additional foam we added, found this guy adding more foam.
Turns out, don't paint your feel and seal. I feel sad that I painted my feel and seal.
It's like
Right.
ate into it or something.
Yeah, this no longer is smooth. I was looking like, man, did I really sand that badly? And yeah, it's like
It like dissolved the foam. So what, you're gonna start
I don't
all
know.
over again?
No, I don't know. I mean, I have to build up, right?
Yeah, just build up. But that's everywhere then.
Yeah.
On that side too?
I mean, because I sanded after I painted here. It didn't seem to
okay,
affect
that's
this,
bad.
but
Oh,
all of
that's
this is right.
The next morning, we were met with deformed foam on the other side of the bumper. It's got craters and uneven surfaces everywhere. This side got even worse overnight. We probably needed to wait at least 24 hours for the spray foam to cure before sanding. But, as they say, live and learn. Instead, we decided just add Bondo and shape that to give it some real structure before laying fiberglass. So, we whipped out the can of Bondo and started applying it all over the foam. Once the Bondo dried up, it was time to take out the orbital sanders and start making lots of dust.
So now that we got this to the shape we kind of want, it's not perfect, but we got all the lines we need and the rough size and everything. We're gonna go ahead and lay it with fiberglass. So we went out, picked up some of the just Bondo fiberglass mat, and then there's also a cloth, which is more like a, you know, a weave, which you see with carbon fiber. We'll probably do this on the final layer. We don't know if we'll use it, but the mat kind of allows it to flex more around shape. So we're gonna start with this guy to get our rough shape in.
So we drew the rough shape on the fiberglass mat and cut about 1 inch bigger all around to account for all the bends and corners. We used a liquid resin that only had an 8-minute working time, so we mixed small batches to minimize the amount of wasted resin. The goal was to completely wet out the fiberglass mat while making sure it stuck to the bumper and kept the right shape. We used a brush to force the fiberglass mat into tight corners where it kept lifting, like right on this outer edge. We waited for the first layer to dry up, gave it a quick sand, and started on a second layer with the same mat.
So we put a couple more coats of resin on the parts, and now we're gonna skim it all with some Bondo and start getting it sanded to the final, you know, smoother surface. So it's looking good so far. This blue is so hard to tell if you got enough. Tell Bondo to bring back the red. We don't want the blue, bring back the red.
Getting this to final shape was going to take multiple layers of Bondo and a lot of time. So, while it took care of that, Jack decided to start on the modifications we needed to get all the smaller trim pieces to fit on the bumper.
So on the original bumper, there's a few pieces that make up this side vent area. So we got 2 sets of those. We're gonna have to cut them up and modify them to fit. But you can see how much we grew the bumper, especially when I put this in here. We added a significant amount here. This used to mount up here. So now I gotta cut these up, make one big one out of the 2 smaller ones. And then I also have to modify this piece because this is gonna go up to there, but it doesn't reach the bottom. So I'm gonna have to add a piece there. And that will complete, you know, the side pocket. The stock chrome piece fits in just like it's supposed to because it's the same width in this area. So just a couple cutting, gluing, and it should be done.
The fact that we had 2 sets of these trim pieces was a huge time saver. I was able to cut and splice what I needed, and the shape was not too far off. We put the plastic welder to good use here, and while these parts may not look like much, we do have something really cool in store that'll hide all that. So the important thing is that they fit correctly. For the rest of the joints on the bumper, we used a special flexible Bondo. This is to help prevent cracks from any flexing that might happen on such a large piece of plastic. For the lower grille, we're taking 2 brand new grills, cutting them up and gluing them back together. We needed it to be taller and wider, so it took a total of 4 pieces to get the size right.
Alright guys, well, I think we're done sanding all our modifications to the bumper. These came out really good. They're nice and smooth and straight. We got this side is also now sanded down. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the bumper. We have these 2 areas that we still need Bondo, so just straightening it out. Should be done with this fairly quickly. Then I'm gonna move on to the engine bay because we're gonna do a semi-shaved engine bay. I've already started sort of taking off some of these brackets that we're not using, studs, holes. We're gonna weld those shut, and then some Bondo. We're not gonna go crazy with it, but we wanna make it look nice and clean. In the meantime, Jack is starting to work on the front splitter. There's 2 shapes here that he's come up with. I think he's gonna go on with this one first, and if we don't like it, we can always cut it down to that one. It's a little bit more like that. It's just a nice simple curve. We marked the perimeter of the bumper, so now it's just a matter of cutting out the shape and starting to sand. It's gonna be a lot more sanding, so.
I love sanding.
He does love sanding.
With the shape outlined on the foam, I cut a pocket out on the inside so it fits snug to the bumper. I made sure the lines matched the shape and then started sanding the foam away to extract the shape I was going for. Meanwhile, Diego was busy fingering away at the engine bay. He's using the sander to grind away all the spot welds on the original engine mount, which of course we no longer need.
Beefy boy.
He got the frame rail all cleaned up, nicked the holes shut, ground it all down, and threw some Bondo on top. The engine bay is coming along nicely. With the foam splitter sanded to the right shape, I placed it back on the bumper. We decided it was a little too big and cut some of it off so it wouldn't stick out too far. With the shape done, I attached the splitter to the bumper using screws and started working on the final touch.
Alright, so we got the final design here for the front splitter. We're going with this like a step design, so it's low, then comes up high, and goes back down low, then slightly wider on the edges, kind of like the rear wing. So now we got to put on the epoxy, the carbon fiber.
And here it is. The bumper is all done. Well, we're saying it's about 80% done right now. It came out pretty good. As you can see, the nostrils, they added that aggressive look we were going for. So we're pretty happy with this. Pat on the back for coming up with this idea. We also, as we talked about, lowered the front of the bumper or the bottom of the bumper by about 2 inches. So it's a lot more proportional. It looks very, very much more in your face. Obviously, we gave all these pieces that we modified the forged carbon treatment, so they came out pretty good. We still have a couple fine-tuning things we have to do, like this splitter needs a lot more sanding. It's very wavy right now, and then some fitment issues we got to figure it out. But for the most part, we're happy with the results. We're thinking about giving the grille also the carbon fiber, for the forged carbon fiber treatment, but we're not entirely sure yet. Let us know what you think. We think the silver kind of clashes with the rest of the pieces, so we'll figure that out. But for now, we're going to call it good for all the sanding, all the body modifications, because we have some news to share with you guys, bad and good. The bad news, we're not going to SEMA. The car didn't get accepted. We didn't get the call, so maybe that's not so bad. There's always next year. and we were kind of rushing through things. So now we can take our time, finish the car the way we want to, so that when we do get there, hopefully next year, the car will be in its best shape and it's gonna look amazing running and driving. The good news is that we're gonna stop with the body and we're gonna get right back on the horse. We're gonna try and get this thing running and driving. We have about a month and a half left of good weather, and we do wanna get this thing on the streets at least once before the winter starts. So next video, we're gonna be doing brakes, fuel, we got suspension left, wiring to do, so we got a ton of work to do. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you can't buy a body kit for a 2017 Lincoln Continental, build it.